At the back of what people think about the Andes is spectacular crash and people getting dead and cannibalism and everything, but people would ask us, but what was pushing you on? And I think that the engine here were the feelings. I mean, feelings of friendship, feelings of solidarity.
I mean, we were flying near the peaks of the mountains. We didn't know that at the time because it was very cloudy. And just coming out of a couple of clouds, we saw by the windows that the black side of the mountains, very near the tip of the wings. And then it disintegrated completely except the front 25 feet of the plane, which went down, skidding down the other side of the mountain until it stopped about half a mile down.
And I couldn't believe that I wasn't dead, and because previously to the accident, when it was sliding down, I was thinking, well, the only thing I can look forward is if God exists or it's heaven or whatever. But then when it stopped, I said, I'm saved. I mean, I'm alive. I can't believe that I got through all these things. And immediately we tried to help our friends and people that were injured, thinking for a very soon rescue. But minutes went by and hours, days and months before we were rescued. I mean, it was crazy how they couldn't find us. And even they called off the search 10 days later because the weather conditions were horrible and they were saying no one can survive a plane crash in the Andes.
The search for the Uruguayan plane that crashed in the Andean mountain range with the rugby team Old Christians has come to an end.
We tried to cheat ourselves mentally in a way because we said, okay, we heard the news that they were not looking for us anymore. The search has been called off. So we said, okay, this is fantastic. This is a fantastic news because now we know that we have to get out of here by ourselves. Which was, now looking back, it was very foolish because there was no way out. We were stranded at 15,000 feet. We had to climb 18,000 feet to get out of there. And we were around 100 miles from the nearest hut, you know, not the nearest town or city, the nearest hut. And we didn't have any food, any provisions, any water, any clothes, any climbing equipment. We didn't have any flares, any beacons, nothing. We were reduced to the barest situation a human being could be on the most hostile environment in the world.
Can't see the plane.
You could feel the cold on your bones. I mean, when it's very cold, your skin gets anesthetized, and then you feel like a pain on the bones. And we had to hit each other when we were at the first expedition that we didn't have made a sleeping bag yet, in order to keep your blood from freezing. It's crazy.
Yeah, we didn't have any clothes, just normal shirts and blue jeans and normal shoes, because we were flying on a plane and suddenly 10 seconds later we were stranded at 15,000 feet. And most of us had never seen snow before, had any mountaineering experience, because there is no snow in our country and there are no mountains in our country. The Arctic and the high mountains and glaciers is the most hostile environment on Earth to survive. You know, we finished the small amounts of chocolates we had, and on the first 2 days your stomach starts, I mean, you really feel the hunger, it hurts, and your mind starts working and thinking and bringing back from your survival instinct things that you would never think of. But after not eating anything in 10 days, I can assure you that the way your mind works is completely different.
Roberto. To survive, we gotta eat.
Really, in the story for us, if eating that people would have enough to get out of the mountains would have been a very easy thing. But that wasn't the slightest, only the beginning, because then you had to face the snow and the cold and walking and thinking and the avalanches that were coming by night.
You become close to the way the animal instinct can function, you know, in order to provide food to your body.
We were kind of realizing that we would die on the next moment, and we wanted that if we died, our conscience was clear, so it was easier to die than to survive. So we wanted that God would forgive us or have us in heaven. So we were kind of being very good boys, because when you're close to die, you make many promises about it. So we were thinking about if we would somehow injure the people that died, if we were using their bodies, and what would happen if we are inflicting some of their rights, or we are going some. And then I realized that if I would die, what I would feel about it if someone would take my body in. And I felt how great would it be if someone survives from here, that he has a piece of me to survive, and I can help him even after I'm dead.
Pick up! Hold on! Hold on! Everyone stay!
The mountain begins to shake, and everything is so out of proportion because man is so small in comparison with these huge, sublime mountains there, in which you don't know if you like them, hate them, or respect them.
We were buried alive completely by snow. But when we started to realize what was happening, that moment everything crashed into the plane, and we were covered by tons of snow and we couldn't move. And Roberto was covered also, I was covered, and it's even though if it's snow, it was packed snow, you know, and you cannot move one finger, nothing, you just cannot lift one arm. It's like cement, concrete. You don't know how much snow is over the plane, over you, but you know you're gonna die, because at the beginning you couldn't hear any sounds, then far away you could hear some things of the people who were walking over you, you know, and shouts and cries, and suddenly you're dying, because you can hold your breath for how long? 1 minute and a half, 2 minutes. 1 minute, you lose the notion of time.
I thought I was dying, and even I tried to get out, and like a peace came over me, and I said, well, that's it. Someone gets out of here, he'll say Roberto died in the avalanche, as happened with 8 of my friends.
You say, okay, finally this is coming to an end, but I don't want to die, I don't want to die, and somebody digs a hole into your mouth, you know, and then there's a tunnel of about 2 or 3 feet of a guy who digged a hole and looked for your mouth and left you there, you know. Said, are you okay? Yes. And then he looked for another mouth. And all that was taking place in complete darkness, because the plane was full of snow, and the snow had covered this plane about 5 or 8 or 10 feet on top of the plane. And it was night, so everything was complete darkness. The geography inside of the plane changed. It was the worst night of my life, I'm sure.
A valley.
We were stranded there for 70 days, and days were passing by and nothing was happening. He was telling me, let's go and try and climb, and say, Nando, but we're not going to make it. But then I remember one day that a friend of mine had his legs broken, and say, how happy you must feel that you can help other people, because being here like a parasite on you is terrible, and you look so strong and you can walk and everything. So I understood in that moment that was kind of a compromise for me to go with Nando and walk out of the mountain. When I remember how horrible we felt, and we had to go over these mountains, and the courage of man, because sometimes I think that happened to another person, and I kind of get this courage back into myself, and it's kind of a will to live and a will to save our friends.
Nando! Hey! 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 Help us, please!
I think we hiked around 80 miles.
I mean, we were 10 days walking.
It was 10 days walking, 18, 16 walking. Hours a day until you would fall down. And we walked until we were very lucky at the end, because we found this peasant at the last day of our human efforts. I mean, we couldn't walk one more day. You know, we were extenuated. It's not that you're tired, but he lost like 60 pounds. I lost like 84 pounds. Then you cannot even move or walk. Your muscles do not respond. Your voice doesn't even respond. And you know you're dying. And if we would have had to walk one more day, we would have been finished. We wouldn't have reached help, you know. So we were very lucky in that way. The worst moment was the avalanche, and I think one of the best moments in my life you can divide it into one when we were rescued by this man in the Andes with Roberto, and the other one, the moment that the helicopter is flying over the fuselage, and you see your friends, you know, embracing each other and falling down and rolling in the snow and kneeling down, and the helicopter is almost landing nearby, and you can see their eyes and their faces and their smiles. That feeling is something that I tried for 20 years to find the words to explain it, but I can't. It's something very personal and very, very big. I think that losing most of my family on the same crash gave me a lot of strength to keep on going, and as the mind and the thoughts and the efforts you had to put on surviving every single minute you spent there put some kind of veil on the sorrow you should feel about the death of your sister and your mother. That helped me also in surviving, and their deaths gave me a lot of help in trying to get out, so I could tell my father that at least one of the family was alive, you know, and that gave me a lot of strength, of push to keep on going.
The feelings that I could go back home and tell them, I'm alive, don't cry anymore, I'm okay here, and that these people that survived were so heterogeneous in the way that they faced life. Some were very strong, some were very weak, some were very nice, some were very odd, and all this blend of people is what makes this story real. And I think that the real value is a story about human nature that can happen to anyone.
Nature is so powerful. I mean, to fight and conquer nature in the way that the Andes are when they are very bad. I mean, a storm high in the Andes and an avalanche in the Andes is something that I wish I had never been through, you know? And having conquered that with the help of everybody, it's something that, I don't know, it gave us a lot of strength for our lives afterwards, you know?